This video is supported by patrons like you. If you'd like to become a patron supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJRTheOriginal. Thanks. Hey everybody, this is TJR. I thought I'd share something today that I don't normally share on this channel, and that is my process towards learning a new song, covering a new song. Now, a lot of people would say, well, just cover it then, right? But oftentimes when I have to cover a song, I have to pare it down to one instrument. I have to arrange it for one instrument. It's one thing when you have a band, a 4-piece, 5-piece band, and everybody's playing different parts, and you hear the actual arrangement that you're used to hearing on the recording. It's another thing when you have to boil it down to one instrument. You have to decide, well, what parts do I cover? What parts do I eliminate? Can I make that work with one instrument? Sometimes for me, this has led to having to do a radical reinvention of the song. Other times, not so much so. But it's always bothered me when I've seen a solo musician cover a well-known song and just overlook what is a signature melodic lick or riff from the song. And just to give you an example, I'm going to play a few measures of the chorus to Baby, You Can Drive My Car. And I've seen a lot of musicians do this. Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. I played the right chords, B minor and G major. But was there something missing there? Yes, there is, because you should be hearing that little lick after the first line of the chorus. Baby, you can drive my car. That little thing. You know that's there. You've heard it 100 times, but I've heard so many times watching a solo musician cover a well-known song, and they just leave those things out. And I think a lot of it has to do with, well, maybe they don't know how to play it, or they don't know how to work it in and yet still retain the melody. And that's what I mean about having to decide what to keep, what not to keep. This is especially true on guitar. It can be especially hard. Piano, it's a little bit easier because you've got your left and right hand. You can have your left hand playing bass and your right hand playing the treble. And so you can be a little more flexible with it. And I think that's why I'm approaching this particular song on the piano. Another great challenge in doing a cover song is if you're going to sing it, you have to know how to play it and sing it. And you've got to combine the two. And this is something I once did a video on about how to sing and play at the same time. I've had a lot of musicians say to me, I just can't do it. And I've said, it's just extra work. That's all it is. It just takes more work trying to play and sing at the same time. I'll try to leave a link for that video. I did it a while back, but I'm going to go over some of that here in this video as well. Now, as I was working on this song, one thing that I noticed that was interesting is Paul McCartney's bass line. And because of this bass line, it was especially tricky to try and play and sing it at the same time. Now, if I look here at the sheet music, which is right here in front of me, the opening chord is a D7th, and that's a D, F sharp, A, and C. It's then followed by a G major. That D7th, I have a problem with it, and I'm going to play it for you, and then I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. To my ears, that chord just doesn't sound right, yet it is the right chord. Sometimes sheet music is wrong even when it's correct. Theoretically, that's the chord, but I don't believe that that is what was played in the recording studio. I'm guessing it was Paul McCartney playing that piano there. I think this becomes even more pronounced when I try to sing it. Asked a girl what she wanted to be. She said, baby, now can't you see? So I did some poking around with the piano and just kind of experimented. And then I got a real clue from the sheet music itself where the opening line of lyric, the melody line is written as, asked a girl, like that, with a C and a G note. The G note is not part of the actual chord, but the G note is part of what McCartney is singing. So I substituted that with the D7th chord and then went to the G chord, and here's how it sounds. me sing it now. Asked a girl what you wanted to be, and she said, baby, now can't you see? For my ears, that sounded a whole lot better. That worked better. And when you cover a song, sometimes you have to really listen. Listen really carefully to the recording, and then listen to what you're doing. And ask yourself, is it really working the way it should, especially if you are looking at sheet music? So now I want to talk about this bass line that McCartney has. I'm going to play it by itself. That sounds very early Motown, and Motown was a big influence on everybody, including the Beatles. It should also be noted that Paul McCartney originally was a guitarist in the Beatles before being moved to bass guitar. From what I've read, initially he was not happy with this because he wanted to play guitar, but then once he found he could do cool melodic things on the bass, he found that he liked that role. But I think because he was a guitar player, because he played chords, he understood chord shapes, that influenced his bass writing a lot, how he created his bass parts. Because this line here, the first three notes of it are a D chord. D, F sharp, and A. But he just plays as an arpeggio. Like that. Da, 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 da. And then there's this little walk down the scale. He'll go up, he'll play the arpeggio, the first root note of the chord, the third, and the fifth note of the chord, and then he'll go back to the third note and do a walk down the scale. It's the first three notes of the D major scale. McCartney says he was not musically educated, but even if he wasn't, I think he understood just how things melodically fit intuitively. So there we go, the D major chord, and then of course he would go to the G. He pulls the same trick. He plays the three notes in the chord, G, B, and D. He walks back to the third note in the chord, which is the B, and does a scale walk down. First three notes of the scale. So now I'm going to put the rest of it together here. Asked a girl what you wanted to be, and she said, baby, now can't you see? I want to be famous, a star of the screen, but you can do something in between. Did you catch that? So he goes to this next chord here, and the sheet music says here that it's a D minor sustained over an A. I don't use words like that, but here we go. Nice, dark, tension-filled chord. Like that, it builds tension. I love the sound of it. But you can do something in between. But then he returns to that little lick that he did on the D and the G. He plays an A major chord, A, C sharp, and E. And then he goes back to the C sharp and does the little walk down the scale. First three notes of the scale. So it's neat how he takes that little melodic hook of his and then moves it where he does, at the very tail end of the chord before it goes into the chorus. On the chorus, it's of course a B minor. Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. Let's talk about that part. So it's a B minor, and then it's a G7. Now, the tricky thing here is we have a chord in the background that probably would be better played here. But if you play it there, you won't be able to play that little, because you have both your hands in the way. So I have to make some concessions here. I have to adapt and change. So I play a G, I play a fifth above it with a D, and then I play a third above it with the F. to make up the G7th here, or at least part of it. And I think McCartney does this a little bit, and once again, I'm assuming it's McCartney playing the piano. There's a little, he doesn't play the chord landing on it, he gives a little, like that. You hear that? I'm still working on getting that little lick right while I sing it. So now let's talk about singing and playing at the same time. I don't know if you noticed, but when I was singing the song, I played it just a little bit slower than when I wasn't singing it. I believe the tempo of the song is, like I said, more akin to this. And it is hard, at least it was at first, to be able to even remotely sing that melody while I'm playing that little bass line along with the keyboard part. So one of my common practices in trying to learn how to sing and play a song at the same time, because every song, like I said before, is like a different language, especially when you want to synchronize playing and singing. There's always some new challenge. One of my practices is to slow everything down. And before making this video, I was playing it more like this. And then getting the lyrics right, the melody. Asked a girl what she wanted to be, and she said, baby, now can't you see? I tell you right now, if you're having trouble playing and singing a song at the same time, the best thing you can do is slow it down. In fact, even if you're not trying to sing it, if you're just trying to play it and you're really having trouble coordinating a part, there's a part you keep stumbling over, slow it the F down. Go to half time. Play it real slow. After enough repetitions, you'll find that you can start to speed it up a little bit more. Asked a girl what you wanted to be, and she said, baby, now can't you see? I can't recommend that enough. Now beyond that, there's just going to be the solo in the song. Now, interestingly enough, the guitar solo is transcribed here in the sheet music here. Let me take a look at this here. It's kind of a... something like that. That's the guitar line. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to actually play that when it comes time to do my version of it. I might try holding down some fifths or some thirds while I try to play that here. Let's take a look at that. Something like that. I might instead just simply monkey around through the chords of the song and do it more like this. Something like that. I'm not sure yet. Still working that part out. But anyways, there is just a little bit of an examination of the process that I go through when I choose to cover a song. And it's basically, how faithful am I going to be? Can I be faithful? Do I have to radically reinvent it? Where do I have to adapt? How do I sing and play it at the same time? Anyways, hopefully you found this interesting. If you want to see me do this more often, please let me know with a comment. Also, just click like. And everybody, thank you so much. Take care. Stay safe and healthy out there. Wash your hands. Take care. Bye-bye.